This is the second video of my sweater series. In the previous video I made the test swatches and measured them to get the gauge information. I will make a plain sweater, so I only need a rib test swatch and a stockinette stitch test swatch. If you haven't watched that video, you can check it out. Today I will show you how to make the calculations according to your gauge information. The sweater I want to knit is suitable for a 96 cm chest, so I only need to make small alterations to make it fit me. I hope you have prepared the chart so you can use them now. Now look at the diagram. The easiest way to make the sweater bigger or smaller is to alter parts A and B. This way the armhole and the neckline shape will stay the same. The top part of the sleeve must match the upper part of the sweater in order to be sewn correctly, so if you change the armhole, you have to change the size of the sleeve as well. I won't change these measurements in this video. I won't change the neckline shape as well. I will only make part A and part B of the sweater wider, so the additional stitches won't affect the neckline and the armhole. Before watching the video, I recommend you to read the instructions in the magazine as well as the first 2 pages. In the first pages you will learn what all of the symbols mean, and then by reading the pattern you will get the overall idea of how the sweater should be knitted. Now let's begin. This is the back piece of the sweater. As you already know, the dotted line means that only half of the piece is shown on the chart. Part A is the rib. Part B is a tubular stockinette stitch. We will knit both the front and the back pieces of the sweater at the same time, and this way we won't have to sew them later. Part C1 is the back piece of the sweater. The back part C1 and the front part C2 are knitted separately, but we will get to that later. I will begin with part B. I need 50 cm for each half of the sweater. 100 stitches from my stockinette stitch test swatch are equal to 30.5 cm. Take the correct calculating chart and find the column that is the same as the stitch gauge information. Now in the leftmost column find the cell containing the desired width of the piece, then check where is the conjunction. In my case I have to use 164 needles to have a piece that is 50 cm wide. Since the sweater is knitted tubular, I have to use 164 needles on each bed to knit both pieces at the same time. The stitches needed for part A will be the same as for part B, since we don't have any increases or decreases between both parts. If we use the gauge information from the rib test swatch, we will have to use many more stitches for part A than for part B. Now let's continue with part C1. We have to cast off 6 cm on each side of the sweater and leave 38 cm in the center. To make the calculations we have to use the same chart as before. 30 cm is equal to 98 stitches according to the chart, and 8 cm are equal to 26 stitches. 98 plus 26 equals 124 stitches. Then we have to make the same calculations to find how many stitches are equal to 6 cm for the sides, or you can simply calculate the stitches in the center only, then subtract the rest, divide the result in half and figure out the result that way. The rest of part C1 is knitted straight, so we may continue with the other calculations. I found that I have made a small mistake, so I have to point that out. Instead of 20 stitches for the decreases, I have used 19, so this is how I will knit the sweater. One stitch won't make a noticeable change in the sweater, but just for clarity I had to point that out. Make that habit of double checking your calculations. I'm telling this to you so I can hear it again. First, let's calculate how many rows I have to knit to make the rib. I want my rib to be 7 cm in length. First, take the right chart that contains the gauge information from your rib test swatch. Now find the needed length in the leftmost column. 7 cm rib is equal to 33 rows. I have to end with the lock on the right side, so I can add one additional row or remove one to make them even. I decided to knit 32 rows of ribbing. Part B of the sweater has to be 36 centimeters in length. First, take the appropriate chart. According to my gauge information, 30 centimeters is equal to 154 rows and 6 centimeters is equal to 31 rows. 154 plus 31 equals 185 rows. The rows are not an even number, but this is not a problem because we will need the sweater tubular. My stockinette stitch test swatch is knitted flat, so we have to double the result to find how many rows we have to knit at this step. We have to knit a total of 370 rows. Now let's calculate the needed rows for the back piece. It has to be 20 centimeters in length. According to the chart, I have to knit a total of 103 rows. The back side will be knitted flat, so I should have an even number of rows to make sure the lock will be on the right side. So in my case, I will knit 102 rows. This is the chart with all the calculations made. Now let's continue with the calculations for the front part. The stitches on the back bed will be the same as the ones on the front bed because we are knitting everything at the same time. Let's now see what is different on the front piece. The length of the front piece is 16 centimeters. 10 centimeters is equal to 51 rows and 6 centimeters is equal to 31 rows. 51 plus 31 equals 82 rows. Now we have to make the calculations for the neckline. We have to cast off 10 centimeters in the center of the work. According to my gauge information and the calculation chart, 10 centimeters is equal to 33 stitches. But can we cast off 33 stitches? If we subtract these 33 stitches from the total numbers of stitches we have, we will get a result that can't be divided evenly for both shoulders. So I will cast off 34 stitches in the center of the work. Then we will have 46 stitches for each shoulder. These 46 stitches are equal to 14 centimeters. According to the pattern, we have to make several decreases, so part E is 11.5 centimeters in width. Let's look at the chart again. To find out how many stitches are equal to 11.5 centimeters, we have to add 33, 4 and 2, which gives us a total of 39 stitches. So we start with 46 stitches and we have to decrease to 39 stitches. Part D should be 4 centimeters in length and part E should be 3.5 centimeters. According to the chart, I have to knit 21 rows to make part D, but I want to end with the lock on the right side, so I will add one additional row and make them 22. Part E will be equal to the sum of 15 and 3, which gives us a total of 18 rows to knit. We now have all the needed numbers to make the calculations for the decreases. First, let's subtract 39 from 46. The result is 7. This means that we need to make a total of 7 decreases. We will make the decreases along the side of part D, so we have 22 rows to make these 7 decreases. 22 divided by 7 will give us the result of 3 and there will be 1 row left. So here is the equation. We will start by knitting 1 row, then decrease 7 times 1 stitch on every third row. Finally, the row counter will be at 22 rows and the lock will be on the right side of the machine. Now we have to make the calculations for the sleeves. Part A is rib and part B is tubular stockinette stitch. The rib has to be 26 centimeters in width. After knitting the rib, we have to transfer the stitches and continue knitting tubular. This is why part B is 13 centimeters. The stitches on each bed should be 13 centimeters in width. To find out how many needles I need to cast on, I will use the stockinette stitch gauge and I will calculate the stitches for part B. 66 plus 20 equals 86 stitches. I could go with the 86 stitches, but for some reason I didn't like the idea of having an odd number of stitches after the transfer, so I decided to start with 88 stitches. That's totally up to you and won't change the final look of the sweater. Let's calculate the stitches for the top of the sleeve. We already calculated how many stitches are equal to 26 cm, so you may already know what the answer will be. Don't forget that when we get to the top of the sleeve, we will have 86 stitches on each bed. Now let's calculate how many rows we need for part A. It's best to make the rib the same width as for the sweater body, but if you want to wear it folded, you may double the size or make it as long as you want. I will make it the same as for the sweater's body. The length of the sleeve should be 51 centimeters. According to the chart, we have to add 256 and 6, and we will get a total of 262 rows to knit. My stockinette stitch test swatch is knitted flat and the sleeve is knitted tubular. That's why I have to double the results. So to make the sleeve, I have to knit a total of 524 rows. Now we have all the needed measurements to calculate the increases. I will calculate the increases by using half of the stitches and making the calculations for one of the beds only. To knit the sleeve, you have to make the increases on both beds at the same time. First, subtract the stitches we have to begin with from the stitches that we have in the end. The result is 42, so we have 42 stitches to increase. Now divide the rows we have to knit by the stitches we have to increase. We don't have a round number. Let's multiply 6 by 42. And now let's subtract that number from the rows we have to knit. The result is 10. So 262 divided by 42 equals 6, and there are 10 additional rows to knit. We will put these 10 rows in the beginning. So this is how the equation will look like. The only thing we have to do now is to double these 10 rows because we will need the sleeve tubular. So we will start by knitting 20 tubular rows, and after that we will start making one increase on each bed every 6 rows. And just like that we made all the needed calculations for knitting the sweater. I'm going to knit the sweater now. Have a nice day and see you in my next video.